Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months. Go to Bolt fam, it's the director. Chargers fans, we got an awesome treat for you guys today. I've seen some requests in the comments section, especially since we started bringing on some guests on the show. Our next guest is going to be Mr. Michael Maclane, up and coming, big time Chargers YouTuber. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. Say hi to the good Bolt fam on the
What's up,
Chargers.
okay. I was waiting to say hi. I kind of cut you off there a little bit, but what's up, man? Make sure to like the video for the director.
Oh, please, and thank you. And make sure to go check out Michael's channel, of course, which is going to be linked in the description. Now, Michael, I'm going to throw you off a couple of times in this video because we're going to ask some things that maybe weren't discussed beforehand, but that's a good thing because we're going to get some genuine answers as well. As he alluded to at the top of the show, actually right before we started filming, we do have a little dynamic going on here, right? The director and, of course, the actor. One of the first things that we did when we started talking was swap IMDb profiles, which was pretty fun. Mr. Michael, I hear talented actor. Okay, give us one thing. Give us one thing. One of your favorite productions that you've worked on in terms of your career as an actor.
Ooh, man. There's a soap opera that I worked on called The Young and the Restless. It's been on the TV for like 50 years. That was a really awesome experience. You know that one? You watch it?
Yeah, obviously, yeah, for sure. That's super exciting, man. Super. Thank you so much for coming on. Super. If you guys haven't checked out his content, it is super hype. It is young. It is hip. It is what we are about on the social medias nowadays.
We bolt up. Every time you watch my video, we're all bolted up.
We are all bolted. It's now a disease that's spreading across the nation, one that all of us are hoping to be a part of. So if you guys want to check out his channel, definitely link in the bio below. Now, today we have a pretty fun show in terms of kind of, what do we call it? We call it questions and declarations, right? We're going to go through a series of different topics involving different players coming up in the 2023 season. And we're going to have an opportunity for either myself to ask Michael a question about that player or Michael to make a declaration about that player in the 2023 season. He can do the same thing to me, asking me a question or expecting a declaration. So it'll be fun. We'll go with the flow. It'll be a good time. Now, before we do kick this off, Michael, for all of the good viewers at home, please check out Underdog Fantasy, the sponsor of today's show. If you guys want to get in on the action, use code DIRECTOR to match your first deposit up to $100. I would say the best fantasy platform on the web. And if you guys jump in right now, there is an awesome special. Who thinks Aaron Rodgers is going for over half a fantasy point this upcoming Friday? I think I sure do, and that's going to give you a nice boost. If you guys want to check that out, now's the time to hit that up. So before we do get started, guys, as well, hit us up, both me and Michael, with a like and sub on each representative channel. The small amount of time you guys do that helps us quite a bit. And with that, Michael, why don't you roll us in?
Lights, camera,
action. The Michael Maclane director dueling bolts episodes. I wish we could. I don't know. We'll come up with a nice title after the fact, though, Michael.
We'll think of something.
We'll think of something. I think that's part of the job, isn't it, around here? So what we're gonna do is start off with our first talking topic. Yeah, I think you saw. We kind of alluded to it at first. I was like, are we gonna start with Quentin Johnson or are we gonna end with Quentin Johnson? We're gonna start with Quentin Johnson.
You got to start
up
with
on the
number
board
one
right now. Go ahead, Michael. Give me a question or a declaration, please.
Okay, question. Quentin Johnson, 1,000-yard receiver, year one.
And we can be a bit bullish on this, too. I'm feeling pretty bullish on Quentin Johnson. I put out a video not too long ago kind of going over what it would be like to face this particular player from the defense's perspective if you're already kind of worrying about a man in Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. I think their top two corners, top two DBs are going to have their hands full, leaving the third DB, who maybe is not quite as well equipped to handle Quentin Johnston, to kind of roam free. So I'm going to go ahead and say I think it's absolutely possible we see 1,000-yard receiving season from Quentin Johnston.
Don't say it's possible. You got to say he's going to do it or he's not going to do it. It's happening. Okay.
It's happening. You guys see this man late in your fantasy football leagues. I am taking Quentin Johnston for that upside, especially in those keepers.
See, I don't know if he's going to get 1,000 yards because is he going to be playing in the slot most of the time, or is he going to be playing on the outside? Are we going to have Keenan Allen in the slot for most of his time this season? And also, is Keenan Allen going to be getting injured? Is Mike Williams going to be getting injured? Because we've been dealing with that for, it feels like the past few years that we haven't had good health at wide receiver. If Keenan Allen stays healthy and Mike Williams stay healthy for a full 17-game season now, I don't know. I would have to say under, just because I really, really want Keenan Allen to get the most wide receiver production on this team because he's just so valuable. He's like 32 years old now, and we're seeing him in practice doing all these crazy routes, man, leaving guys on the floor. Prime. And he's 32. You got to utilize him, especially while you can. We're talking about legacy with Keenan Allen, one of the best wide receivers, probably the best Chargers wide receiver in history. I would put money on Keenan Allen going like 1,600 yards plus if he stays healthy with like, oh man, how many catches, dude?
Oh, Michael, dude, save something for the Keenan Allen section. My goodness,
you got a Keenan Allen section? I'm sorry,
that's
bro.
Good. I
just got so bolted up right there. But listen, Quentin Johnson, I'm going to have to say under just because he's a rookie. He's had some issues with drops already in training camp that we've seen. We saw it in the Rams game. It was right in the Rams game. He had those two drops. I don't think he dropped a ball against the Saints, if I'm remembering correctly. Is that right?
I don't think he did, no. I think it was 3 for 3.
Yeah, so we're seeing improvement already there, just week by week. He had 2 drops that week 1. Maybe it was a confidence thing. Maybe it's just a lack of concentration because typically it's one or the other if you're dropping balls and you're that talented. Quentin Johnson, though, I'm going to have to say under just because we are so loaded at wide receiver, and I'm expecting a big season from Keenan Allen.
From the perspective of a rookie wide receiver as well, because we all want to see the man go for 1,000. I think it's absolutely possible given the matchups. That's going to be my biggest argument for that. But a good season for a rookie wide receiver, which I think is absolutely my floor for Quentin Johnson, is going to be in and around the realm of 700 yards, which I think is absolutely fair given, especially even if he's going to be running the slot, outside, whatever. I want to ask you a quick question, too, before we go on to the next topic here. Quick answer, and we'll drop the mic.
Okay.
Over or under 5 touchdowns for Quentin Johnson rookie season?
Ooh.
That's tough.
Oh, man, I think 5 is like right where I would kind of put that. Because when they're in the red zone, I mean, it would have to be explosive, those 20-plus yard kind of touchdowns, if he gets more. Because I think when they're in the red zone, we're seeing a lot where Justin Herbert is bootleg, it's play action. And usually on those plays, it's going to go to a tight end or it's going to go to like Keenan Allen or the running back, Austin Eckler. So if it's in the red zone and it's not explosive plays, I'm going to say probably under 5 again, because we just have so many weapons, dude. But if he is a big piece in that red zone offense, man, give me like 8, because Quentin Johnson, got Quentin Johnson on one side, you got Mike Williams on the other, and then you can run a bootleg off of that. You got Keenan Allen in the slot, Austin Eckler in the backfield.
Gerald Everett, you got Donald Parham to a tight end. We got some red zone options.
Bro, and then Justin Herbert, he's got those legs now, and we've seen him build that confidence after that injury, because last year, remember, he was injured since week 2. He wasn't trying to run or anything. He was playing hurt. And now he's finally healthy. We're seeing him use those legs in camp. This red zone offense is going to be beautiful.
Beautiful. I think given what I've seen in the Kellen Moore offense, especially when it comes to those big wide receivers, I'm going to take the over just slightly, especially if I were over on anything, it would be the touchdowns rather than the yards, because I think we've already seen evidence of how they want to use him, even creatively, in the red zone. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to our next player here. And Michael, I'm just going to show the player, and then I want you to make a declaration or a question right off the bat. Here we go.
Is this Corey Linsley or Justin Herbert?
Take a pick here. You got Corey Linsley. You got Justin Herbert. What do you think?
Oh, okay. Let's go Justin Herbert, because this is going to get juicy. Justin Herbert, 5,000 yards, 40 touchdowns. No. 45.
45 touchdowns. This is a declaration from Michael Maclane. 5K passing yards, 45 touchdowns. That's quite a jump in touchdowns from last season.
Bro, he was injured. Okay? He was injured since week 2, and this offense is better, man. We got Quentin Johnson that you were very high on in that last pick. That's gonna up the production for Justin Herbert alone because you have those numbers from what he had last year with the injury, and then just add whatever you think Quentin Johnson is going to get, which is what did you say? 7 touchdowns?
Yes.
And over, or you, I think you said 700 yards, right? Or that was like a good
my
season.
floor. Yes.
Just add that, and then add the fact that he is healthy, and that he is just constantly getting better. He's in his groove, man. He just got paid $100 million, man. Like 200, what is it? $265 million, man. I would put all that money into Justin Herbert and then some, because we're going to see how good he is, how good he really is this season. We're going to start talking about Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert right here. There's not going to be any more disrespect. Oh, Tua and Joe Burrow are just as
old
good.
News. Tua's roadkill at this point. Someone ran over a dolphin next to SeaWorld this last offseason. I feel like that Justin Herbert, too, especially when you're taking a look at the last season in terms of yardage with Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. I feel like that narrative's being built. If Justin Herbert, what he needs, in my opinion, and this is going to be my declaration, Justin Herbert wins at least one playoff game this season. I think that's a pretty easy one. If we're going to go bold, I think I'm over 1.5 playoff games for Justin Herbert in 2023.
Oh, over 1.5 playoff games. Okay. That would be, I'm down for that. I want a little more than that. I want to see like 3. But hey, man.
And that's also over. I want to ask you one more question, too, before we move on from Justin Herbert as well. Now, I think 45 touchdowns, that's pretty hot, right? And I think that's absolutely possible, especially in this Kellen Moore offense. But similarly, in the Kellen Moore offense, I've noticed, take a look back when Dak Prescott first was introduced to Kellen Moore. They had their first season together. Dak Prescott threw for over 1,000 yards more in that follow-up season than he did his previous. Now, for Justin Herbert, that would mean like 6,000 yards. I don't know if we quite reach that. However, would you agree, or what would be your counter to mine saying that I think Justin Herbert can reach in and around 5,400 yards with less touchdowns? I would probably put him in and around just under 40 touchdowns. So I'm higher on the yardage than I am the TDs. What do you say about that?
Okay. Yeah, higher on the yardage. That's interesting, because then to me that means that the red zone offense would struggle if you're higher on yards than you are on the touchdowns. Unless you think that they're just going to be running the ball in the red zone more often.
I think it's going to the running back. I think if you take a look at Kellen Moore's offense, that running game extremely involved in the red zone.
It is.
We don't have that Ezekiel Elliott like he's had, but I do think he's got a plan in order to attack in the red zone with those running backs. A very important part of his offense, in my opinion.
I'm expecting a little more of a passing game once you get into that red zone, because of just what I've seen in practice so far. And also what we saw early on in the season last year. We had Xander Horvath was the very first Charger to score a touchdown.
Twice.
With that receiving touchdown, yeah. So Xander Horvath, you add that usage, which Kellen Moore doesn't really utilize a fullback in his offense. He's more of a tight end kind of guy. Put Xander Horvath at tight end. The guy is athletic. If you're not going to use him as a fullback, you can use him not only as a special teams ace, but use him in your offense as a tight end. Even put him in the backfield at like right next to Justin Herbert so he can block or whatever you want to do. In my mind, this red zone offense is more dangerous. It has more threats when you are passing the ball. But back to the initial question of 54.
In the end, a healthy red zone offense means that you likely have one hell of an offensive coordinator, and that reflects very well on Kellen Moore. Let's go ahead and move on to the next segment here. All right, give us a few words, just a few short words about our man Easton Stick. I wanted to ask, here's my question to you, Michael. Are week 1 of the preseason versus week 2 of the preseason such a drastic difference? Where do you realistically see Easton Stick from week 1 to week 2, if that's going to be your measurement? Where do you realistically see him as a backup for the Chargers going forward?
To be honest with you, I haven't given it much thought, because that's not where my thoughts go to. I don't think about Easton Stick when I think about, oh man, I love the Chargers. Bro, that first game, it got me so excited though, because I made a tweet, kind of a stupid tweet at this point. I said he kind of looked like Baker Mayfield in that first preseason game.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying completely.
And then now he just like totally let me down. Like I was all bolted up in the beginning of this video, and then you just showed me Easton Stick, and it just made my bolts shrink. And you know, it's kind of disappointing that we're doing this, but yeah, Easton Stick, he's a backup. You don't expect too much from a backup quarterback. I do want to see more of Max Duggan, though, and I really want to see him get at least a half in this next preseason game, because Max Duggan has that chemistry already with Quentin Johnson and Darius Davis. Like, don't undermine that, because that would be important for a backup quarterback. If Justin Herbert is down, who would you rather have out there? A guy like Easton Stick, who we just saw what we just saw, or Max Duggan, who had played with Quentin Johnson and Darius Davis at TCU, and he was almost a Heisman winner. The only reason he didn't win the Heisman is because Caleb Williams is the best quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck, and put that in the books. I'm saying it right now. He's going to be a 2-time Heisman winner. Caleb Williams is a great quarterback at USC. But Max Duggan, man, I would much rather see an almost Heisman winner at backup quarterback if we need it. But, man, maybe just throw Keenan back there.
Bolted up just a little bit to give you a little bit of hope here. I think it exists somewhere in between. He's been a pretty hot topic of conversation since our loss to the Saints. Bowl fam, I think we'll be just fine. Take a look at the Cooper Rush experiment with Kellen Moore back in Dallas. It did not start so hot either. Yeah. But as that quarterback continues to communicate with the new OC, I think we'll be just fine in terms of a backup. And again, backup means a lot of things. So knock on wood, we don't have to talk too much about that in the regular season. Next up, we got this man right here. Big topic of conversation in 2023. I want a hot take on J.C. Jackson. It could be both good or bad for the upcoming season.
Okay, you want? Oh, I'm going again. J.C. Let's see, J.C. How about interception leader on this team, J.C. Jackson?
I can dig it. I can absolutely dig it. And that's actually a pretty good one, because considering what we've seen in Asante Samuel lately, what we've seen in Michael Davis, who's maybe not an interception machine, but he's been looking a lot better in coverage. That tells us that we have seen a bounce back from J.C. Jackson. Now, here's this. How about over or under 4.5 interceptions in 2023? Ooh.
I say over. If he's healthy for this whole season.
Yeah, I'm at 5 exactly as well. I like that quite a bit. And J.C. Jackson, I feel like maybe not going to be the comeback player of the year, but I think like we saw in years past with like Derwin James, it's really easy for people to forget just how good and how big of an impact this player can be until they've seen that season where the health maybe isn't in the foreground as much. So J.C. Jackson, I have a lot of hope for him. Now, this next player, Michael, prepare yourself. Just moving. Okay. You're gonna throw at me a question, a declaration, whatever the case may be. This one's coming from Michael to the director. Number 0.
Deion Henley. Man, all right, bold prediction. He takes over the starting job from Kenneth Murray by week 13.
By week 13. 13.
Oh, give Kenneth Murray time.
IOB.
Give him time.
IOB 2 by week 13. I can dig it. And I'm going to agree with you on that. As a matter of fact, I think it's a little late. I think that Kenneth Murray, in terms of what the Chargers want, we're seeing so much in camp that gives me a lot of hope. But I feel like I've been here before with Kenneth Murray, and I'm not rooting against him. I certainly hope that these improvements keep him on the field more often than not.
You're a hater.
But maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. I hope not. But I think that when you take a look at Brandon Staley's offense, and especially what he asks the linebackers to do, I think coverage is a big part of that. And I think Dan Henley, he's going to be asked to do more because of what he does well. And I think that's going to be cover for Brandon Staley. Now, does it mean that Kenneth Murray's completely pushed out? No, I think Kenneth Murray could have a pretty decent season. But I think with the looks that Brandon Staley feels comfortable with, I think Henley in the long run feels a lot better. But I agree with you. I'm going to say Kenneth Murray, maybe not demoted, but definitely Dan Henley promoted by week 8 or 9. Maybe a bit.
Yeah, maybe higher usage rate by that time. Maybe it's like a sub linebacker kind of spot.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, like on third down, your nickel defense, you put Deion Henley out there as your middle linebacker rather than maybe Eric Kendricks.
Maybe even Eric Kendricks. Yeah, and Eric Kendricks is a pretty dang good coverage linebacker as well. He's learning from the best. All right, here comes our next player. We're moving along now. Joey Bosa. Now, I'm gonna tell you something, Michael, and then I'm gonna have you follow up with a declaration. Okay? Joey Bosa, in years past, when he suffers an injury in a season, he usually comes back very, very strong. Considering that this line now does boast a Khalil Mack, which, in reality, the first time we're gonna see these guys healthy at the same time, knock on wood, for a full season, and then Tuli Tuipulotu being added into that mix. What are we thinking for Joey Bosa and his upside stat-wise in 2023?
Ooh. Stat-wise. How about, let's go with sacks, first of all. I'll do 7. That's kind of... it's a little low on the sacks with Joey Bosa, but we got to think about how much playing time is Tuli Tuipulotu going to get. I want to see Chris Rumph on the field more. And when you have Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, you're not going to have these guys on the field for every single snap on defense. You want to have them on the field primarily when you want them to rush the passer. Although Joey Bosa is a really great run defender, don't get me wrong, but his best asset, his best skill is his hands and his hand usage when he's rushing the passer. I think 7 sacks for him, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to have a good season. Doesn't mean he's not going to be pressuring the quarterback. Say he, boom, pushes that left tackle all the way back into the pocket. Quarterback's got to step up. Sebastian Joseph Day's getting the sack. Morgan Fox is coming from the opposite side. He's getting the sack. Maybe there's a stunt move and he pulls that left tackle right into the guard. They slam into each other. Boom. You got Austin Johnson coming around that left side. He's getting a sack too. Everybody's eating.
You got DBs involved this season too, more than likely. Derwin James, you got Nickel, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
okay, I like it. So maybe my next question. You got Joey Bosa at 7 sacks. Mm-hmm. Do you have a sack total for the team in 2023 in your back pocket?
No, I don't.
Considering I think the Chargers got what? Was it 40 sacks as a team last season? I don't have the stat right in front of me. Let's say that's the case.
Wow. They were pretty good, even though Joey Bosa only played 5 games.
Yeah, just a few there.
Okay, so they got 40 sacks last year?
I think so. We can go ahead and pull that up after the show. But considering, I will tell you right now, with all those stats in front of me, what I had predicted was somewhere close to 45, 50 sacks as a team total on the season. And I do think Joey Bosa posts at least double digits this year based on his bounce back, especially based on the rotation. I think the rotation is going to be great for him in terms of, the Chargers can call upon Tuli, but for the most of the part of the season, he's going to have someone opposite him that's going to be a pretty good player. So I feel like it's going to be a good season for Joey Bosa. I do have Khalil Mack just a little bit lower in terms of sackage, probably closer to last season, about 8 sacks, but I think they're going to take a good majority of those sacks for the team of the season.
I'm kind of on the opposite side of that. I think Khalil Mack's going to get more of the sacks and Joey Bosa is going to take more of the attention. That's why I don't have so many sacks for Joey Bosa. I have him more as the disruptor, as the guy who's going to create that pressure on the quarterback.
I like that. I like coming back to these videos at the end of the season. See, where are we at? We hire on Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack. Let's see where these sacks are going. Let's move on to the next one. We'll have a couple of more before we start wrapping up. I'm actually going to go randomly and pick one we don't know. Let's go with this guy right here. Asante Samuel Jr. Some drama behind him during the offseason in terms of what's his role going to be. Is his toes being stepped on by a Jasir Taylor? Does he have what it takes to play the slot at a high level, especially versus the run? I'm going to start with a declaration on Asante Samuel. I think Asante Samuel, in terms of coverage grade, will lead the team. I think we see more interceptions from JC. I think JC at some points does struggle a little bit versus those faster receivers, which we see a lot of on the schedule this year. But I think Asante Samuel, in terms of his coverage ability, will edge everyone else on the squad, other than Derwin, of course. From the corner position. From the corner position,
right. Okay. Asante Samuel Jr., the best cover corner. Is that what this declaration is?
That's where I'm going with him, yeah. You can counter declare. You can give us a hot take.
Man,
you tell us that we love those Navy uniforms.
I told, yeah. Oh man, that's a good picture, isn't it? But listen,
yes, it is.
Asante, man, I have really high hopes for him, but best cover corner, I don't know, because I really, really believe in J.C. Jackson if he is healthy. Let's not forget, he was the interception leader, man, just 2 years ago.
And not to forget Michael Davis either, who was one of the most underrated corners in the league last season. But I see the jump. I see the jump from Asante. I definitely think that he's ready to take that next step.
I mean, we're talking about next step, and then he just had a couple of interceptions in one playoff game that we just had.
Oh, yeah.
Asante Samuel Jr. is this guy is an opportunistic defender. If you make a single mistake, he's going to make you pay for it.
Yeah,
in terms
we're
of
getting close to his contract season as well, his contract year. So
we're getting very close.
Now it's time to start stacking the stats there. Okay, 1 or 2 more photos. This next one, Michael, we're gonna have you kick it off with a question or declaration. Okay. Here we go.
Kendricks, busting his way down to the quarterback. Let's say Eric Kendricks gets 3 interceptions.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. 3 interceptions, Michael Kendricks over the middle. Or Eric Kendricks. I think definitely something that we've seen in his highlight days in Minnesota, that coverage linebacker. I think that's absolutely something possible. In my terms of a declaration, I think Eric Kendricks, and maybe this is less of a declaration and more of an observation, I think Eric Kendricks is the reason Dan Henley overtakes the job by midseason. I think Eric Kendricks, Dan Henley, those guys profile very similarly in their style of play. And I think that the perfect mentor for Dan Henley just happened to be signed this offseason via the Minnesota Vikings.
So are you saying that you think Eric Kendricks is going to lose his job to Dan Henley, or they're going to be playing alongside each other?
I think the observation's more that Dan Henley and his mentorship from Eric Kendricks going to be a big reason why Henley has that jump. I think in terms of mentorship, I don't know if you could have picked a better linebacker in the league for him on the Chargers.
I don't think so. I mean, that skill set, they have very similar skill sets. That's the exact kind of guy that you want to learn from if you're Dayon Henley. And I think, man, was he the one wearing the red dot in the preseason game, Dayon Henley?
He may have been.
I don't know for sure. That may be fake news. I don't know. But I think I heard something that he was. And Eric Kendricks is also calling the plays for the starters.
There you go. And that's another great point, too, especially when it comes to stepping up, becoming a leader. And you see it, I think, from Kenneth Murray a little bit already. I think Kenneth Murray has learned a thing or two, and that's why we've seen a bit of a step up from him this offseason as well. But I think
don't sleep on him. Don't sleep on him.
And I think the Chargers have done a good job of that throughout the years, bringing on guys that you're like, I'm not quite sure about impact this season, but boy, are they good mentors, and boy, did they help set the Chargers up in their future. All right, last one. And Michael, I'm actually going to hand this one off to you one more time. Hit us with a declaration. Hit us with a question. The last topic here is coming from, okay, you know what? Actually, let's skip this one. We just talked about him.
I feel like
let's re-roll the dice here. Re-roll the dice here one more time. Here we go.
Okay.
The finale. JT Woods. I like this one.
Okay, JT Woods. JT Woods. Oh, man, I can't really think of a good one because this kind of depends on Alohi Gilman, I feel like. Like, if Alohi Gilman is the set-in-stone starter, JT Woods is not going to get a ton of action outside of these, packages that they're going to run here and there. His usage rate is not going to be very high. JT Woods, I feel like we can't really go with a stat because of that. How about just how well he plays? JT Woods is going to take a huge leap this year. He's going to be taking better angles on running backs, and he's not going to miss a ton of tackles. How about, 4 missed tackles max?
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Especially the tackle stat, certainly something you need to see improvement from in JT Woods. I feel JT Woods is going to be one of the more surprising players for the Chargers on defense this season, especially considering Alohi Gilman is switching over to free safety a bit more opposite Derwin James. We do see a lot of packages for the Chargers in which Derwin's moving around. We do see, in seasons past at least, Alohi Gilman in that relief role. I do feel it's going to be JT Woods going forward. And I think in terms of improvement, he's one of those guys that stood out to me already in the offseason. Maybe not so much in camp, but definitely in those live game environments in the preseason. I feel like when it comes to most improved defensive players, I think JT's name is going to be in the conversation for me. That's going to be a hot take.
Most improved. Okay, actually, I don't think that's a hot take, man. I think that's a good take. Because JT Woods, he flies around the field, man. He's so athletic. He's so rangy. His really only one problem is just taking better angles, securing a tackle. And I love the passion that he plays with, man. That mic'd up that the Chargers released against the Rams. I was all with him. I love JT Woods as a player. Most improved, for sure, I think, for me, because in training camp, we've already been seeing him breaking up some of those passes. And then in that game against the Saints, that was a big step for him. And then I think on Tuesday and then today in practice, he also had he had an interception on Keenan Allen in the red zone on a pass over the middle. So what does that mean? It means he jumped the route. It means he's reading things and reacting faster, and he's in more control of himself.
JT Woods, coverage, positioning, putting yourself in a position for interceptions, picks. I think there's a lot of things that we saw coming in from the draft. The upside's starting to become realized, I think, in 2023. The opportunity is going to be there. Very excited for him.
Picture, he means business, man.
He does.
If that's the face he's coming in with the season, this guy means business.
And now we're going to see Brandon Staley smiling ear to ear when it comes to Chargers fans questioning what we're doing with JT in the third. I think now we're going to find out in 2023. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to Michael Maclane for joining us on the show. Please check out his social media. Michael, tell the good people where they can find you.
You can find me at Michael Maclane. That's Maclane.
Michael
on YouTube.
Maclane on YouTube. Very, very talented, up-and-coming Chargers YouTuber. Very excited to have him on the show today, and especially in terms of developing things ready for the future. I think the Chargers fan community, in terms of content creators, we got another good one to add to the mix there. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been the director and Michael Maclane. Hit us up with a like and sub on your way out if you did enjoy this content. Definitely make sure to check out Michael's channel. The link to that's going to be in the description. We'll catch you next time, and as always, bolt up and stay frosty.
Bolt up, baby.
Bolt up.